I found my father's suicide note on a Tuesday afternoon in March, exactly 20 years and 43 days after he died. 20 years, not the day after, not during the funeral, not while cleaning out his office or sorting through his clothes. 20 years later, hidden inside a book I'd never bothered to open. A collection of Hemingway short stories, my father's favorite. The envelope was yellowed at the edges, my name written across the front in his precise handwriting. Michael, just that. No, dear son. No to my boy. Just my name. Like he was calling me from another room. I sat on the floor of my garage, surrounded by boxes I'd been meaning to unpack since we moved into this house 3 years ago. My wife Sarah had finally given me the ultimatum: clear out the garage or she's hiring someone to do it. I'd been avoiding these boxes since my mother died 6 months earlier. Her estate, his things that she'd kept. Things I'd never wanted to see. The paper trembled in my hands, not from the cold. March in Oregon is always cold. But this was different. This was the kind of shaking that comes from somewhere deep, from a place you've spent decades trying to seal shut. I didn't open it right away. I just held it, felt the weight of it. 20 years of questions, folded into 3 pages of paper. My father killed himself on January 3, 1998. I was 18 years old, home from my first semester of college for winter break. I found him in the garage, our garage, the same garage where my kids now park their bikes. Different house, same demons. Everyone said it was sudden, unexpected. He seemed fine, they whispered at the funeral. No warning signs. They were lying, of course. Or maybe they were just blind. There are always signs. We just get really good at not seeing them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back. Let me show you who my father was before he became a statistic, before he became the thing we didn't talk about at family dinners, before he became the weight I've carried in my chest for 20 years. Let me show you the man I thought I knew. My father's name was David Anderson. He was an accountant. Not the exciting kind who uncovers corporate fraud or travels the world, the regular kind. The kind who went to an office every day, wore the same 3 ties on rotation, and came home smelling like coffee and paper. He was 42 when he died. That seems young now. When I was 18, 42 seemed ancient. Now I'm 38, and 42 feels like it's breathing down my neck. I look in the mirror sometimes and see him looking back. Same hairline, same lines around the eyes, same hollow look when I'm tired. It terrifies me. We weren't close, my father and I, not distant, exactly, just as separate, like two people living in the same house who happen to know each other's names. We talked about safe things, baseball, weather, how school was going. The kind of conversations that fill space without actually saying anything. I remember trying. When I was younger, I'd bring him drawings from school, stories I'd written, report cards with good grades. He'd look at them, nod, say that's good, Michael, and go back to whatever he was doing. After a while, I stopped trying. It hurt less. My mother made excuses. He's tired. Work is stressful. That's just how men are. She was the buffer, the translator, the one who tried to make his silence feel like love. It didn't work. There was this one time, though. I was 14. I'd made the varsity baseball team as a freshman. That almost never happened. I was so proud. I ran home from tryouts, bursting through the door, ready to tell him. He was sitting at the kitchen table, staring at a stack of bills. The late afternoon sun was coming through the window, and I remember thinking how tired he looked. How small, Dad, I said. I made varsity. He looked up. For just a second, I saw something in his eyes, pride, maybe, or recognition. Like he was seeing me for the first time in years. That's good, son, he said. Then his eyes went back to the bills. That was it. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds, waiting for more, waiting for him to ask questions, to smile, to do something, anything. He didn't. I went to my room and cried. 14 years old, crying because my father couldn't find 5 minutes to care about the best thing that had ever happened to me. I never told him about a game, not one. He never asked. That should have been a sign, shouldn't it? That distance? That absence even when he was standing right in front of me. But I was a kid. I thought all fathers were like that. I thought it was normal. It wasn't normal. The summer before I left for college was strange. Looking back now with 20 years of perspective, I can see it clearly. The way he lingered in doorways, the way he'd start sentences and never finish them, the way he looked at me sometimes, like he was trying to memorize my face. I thought he was sad about me leaving, proud, even. I'd gotten a full scholarship to University of Oregon, first person in our family to go to college. My mom cried when we got the acceptance letter. My father just nodded and went to his office. We had exactly one meaningful conversation that entire summer. It was late August. I was packing. He knocked on my door, which was unusual. He never knocked. Got a minute? He asked. I nodded, surprised. He sat on my bed, looking uncomfortable. He'd been in my room maybe 5 times in my entire life. It was foreign territory to him. I was foreign territory to him. College is going to be different, he said. You'll meet new people, learn new things. You'll figure out who you are. I waited. There had to be more. Don't, he started, then stopped. His jaw worked like he was chewing on words too big to swallow. Don't waste time trying to be what other people expect. It's a trap. I didn't know what to say. This was the most personal thing he'd ever said to me. Is that what you did? I asked. Became what people expected. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw something break behind his eyes. Yeah, he said quietly. Yeah, I did. He stood up, patted my shoulder once awkward, uncertain, and left. I didn't know then that it was goodbye. I left for college in September. The drive to Eugene was quiet. My mother chattered nervously. My father drove, said nothing. When we unloaded my boxes, he helped wordlessly, efficiently. When it was time to leave, he shook my hand. Shook my hand. My mother hugged me until I thought my ribs would crack. My father shook my hand like I was a business colleague. Make us proud, he said. Those were his last words to me. I came home for winter break in December. The house felt smaller, or maybe I felt bigger. College had opened something in me, shown me that conversations could be more than surface-level exchanges about nothing. I'd made friends who talked about ideas, feelings, fears. I'd had late-night discussions about meaning and purpose and what it means to really live. I wanted to have those conversations with my father. I tried. Christmas Day, I asked him about his childhood. His parents had died before I was born. I knew almost nothing about them. Not much to tell, he said. But where did you grow up? What were they like? It was a long time ago, Michael. That was all I got. The next week passed in the same familiar pattern. Him in his office or in front of the TV. Me trying to bridge a gap that seemed to grow wider every time I reached across it. My mother, always mediating, always explaining, always excusing. New Year's Eve, I made a decision. I was going to talk to him, really talk, no surface-level bullshit. I was going to ask him why he was so distant. Why he couldn't just be a father. Why every interaction felt like pulling teeth. I practiced what I'd say, rehearsed it in my head 100 times. I never got the chance. January 3rd, 1998, Saturday morning. I woke up late, around 10. The house was quiet, too quiet. My mother had gone to her sister's for the weekend. Some kind of spa thing. It was just me and my father. I went downstairs, made coffee, called out to see if he wanted any. No answer. His office door was closed. That wasn't unusual. I figured he was working. He always worked, even on Saturdays. I drank my coffee, watched TV. Around 11, I started to wonder, The house felt wrong. You know that feeling. When something is off, but you can't quite identify what. I knocked on his office door. Nothing. I opened it. The room was empty. His computer was off. Papers neat on his desk. Everything in its place. That's when I heard it. A sound from the garage, a low hum, the car. I don't remember running. I don't remember opening the door. Memory does this thing where it skips, like a scratched record, protecting you from the worst parts, but I remember the smell. That I remember. Exhaust, chemical, sweet and wrong. I remember his face through the driver's side window. Peaceful. That's the word everyone uses, isn't it? Peaceful, like he was sleeping. He wasn't sleeping. I remember yanking the door open, turning off the car. The sudden silence louder than any noise I'd ever heard. I remember touching his shoulder. He was still warm, still warm. I remember screaming for my mother even though I knew she wasn't there. I remember the 911 operator's voice, calm and professional, asking me questions I couldn't process. I remember the paramedics' faces when they arrived. The way they looked at each other, the way they knew. I remember them pulling me away from the car, from him. I remember sitting on the front lawn, watching them bring him out. A sheet over his body. I'd seen that in movies 100 times. It's different when it's your father under the sheet. It's different when you're the one who found him. I was 18 years old. I'd been home from college for exactly 19 days. 19 days, that's how long I had to fix us. To bridge the gap, to understand him, I failed. The funeral was surreal. That's the only word for it. Surreal. People I'd never met told me stories about my father I'd never heard. His co-workers talked about his sense of humor. His humor, I'd never heard him laugh. Not really laugh, not the kind of laugh that reaches your eyes. His college roommate showed up, told me about pranks they'd pulled, adventures they'd had. David was wild back then, he said, smiling. Life of the party. I didn't know that man. That wasn't my father. My father was silent, distant, tired. The pastor said beautiful things about him at the service. Called him a devoted husband and father. My mother cried. I sat there, dry-eyed, feeling like we were talking about a stranger. No one mentioned how he died. No one said suicide. They said passed away and lost him and left us too soon. Pretty words for an ugly thing. Afterward, people came to our house, brought casseroles and condolences. Said things like, he's in a better place now and God needed another angel. I wanted to scream. I wanted to flip every table, break every dish, tell them all to shut up with their empty platitudes. Instead, I nodded, said thank you, played the role of grieving son. But I wasn't grieving. Not really. I was angry. How dare he? How dare he leave like that? No note. No explanation. No goodbye. Just gone. Problem solved. Pain ended. His pain, anyway. Ours was just beginning. My mother fell apart, completely. She stopped eating. Stopped sleeping. Wandered the house at night like a ghost. I heard her sometimes, crying in their bedroom. Sounds that didn't seem human, pure grief, distilled and raw. I went back to school 3 weeks later. Everyone told me to take more time. I couldn't. Staying in that house, breathing that air, watching my mother dissolve, I couldn't. I threw myself into classes, into books, into anything that wasn't feeling. I built walls, thick ones, the kind that keep pain out, but also keep everything else out. Joy, connection, love. I told myself I was fine. I told everyone I was fine. I was lying. The next few years are a blur. I graduated, got a master's degree. Met Sarah. We got married when I was 26. She knew about my father. Of course, I told her the basics. He killed himself when I was 18. Clinical, detached, like reporting a news story. She tried to get me to talk about it, really talk. I couldn't. Every time I got close, the walls would go up. Change the subject, Make a joke. Shut down. You need to process this, she said once. We'd been married maybe a year. She was patient then. Still hopeful she could reach me. There's nothing to process, I told her. It happened. It's over. I'm fine. You're not fine. Michael, don't tell me how I feel. That was the pattern. She'd push. I'd retreat. The distance between us grew. Not like the distance between my father and me. Different, but distance nonetheless. We had our first child when I was 30. A son. We named him Oliver. The day he was born, I held him in the hospital. This tiny perfect thing. And I felt terror like I'd never known. What if I'm like my father? What if I can't do this? What if I'm broken in the same way? I looked at Sarah, exhausted and beautiful, holding our son, and I made a promise. I will be better. I will be there. I will not be my father. I tried. God knows I tried. I was present. I changed diapers and did midnight feedings. I read stories and played games. I showed up to every doctor's appointment, every milestone, every moment. But there was something missing, some piece I couldn't access. Love? Yes, I loved Oliver with an intensity that scared me. But connection, that was harder, that required vulnerability, that required breaking down walls I'd spent years building. Oliver would look at me sometimes with these big eyes, waiting for something I didn't know how to give. And I'd see myself at 14, waiting for my father to care about my baseball game. The cycle continuing. Different, but the same. Sarah saw it too? You're here, but you're not here, she said one night after I'd put Oliver to bed. You're going through the motions, but you're not really present. That's not fair. It's true. You're terrified of being your father, so you're just performing, playing the role. But Oliver doesn't need a performer. He needs a dad who actually lets him in. I'm doing my best. I know, she said, and there were tears in her eyes. But your best isn't enough if you won't deal with what's inside you. That anger, that hurt. You can't just wall it off and expect to live a full life. It doesn't work that way. I didn't know what to say. She was right. She was always right. We had our daughter, Emma. 2 years later, another chance, another promise. And the same pattern. Love without connection. Presence without vulnerability. I was becoming my father. In the same way. Not exactly, but close enough. My mother died last October. Heart attack, quick. She was here. And then she wasn't. Maybe that's better than watching someone fade slowly. I don't know. Death is death. Cleaning out her house was brutal. Every room held memories, most of them painful. The kitchen where my father sat with those bills. The living room where he'd watch TV in silence. The bedroom where she'd cried after he died. I wanted to burn it all, start over, but you don't get to do that with grief. You can't just burn it away. It follows you. It's patient. Sarah was with me, packing boxes. I was in my old room, putting books in a box, when she called from the garage. Michael, you should see this. I went down. She was standing next to a wall of shelves, my father's things. My mother had kept everything, his clothes, his desk supplies, his books. These should probably go to Goodwill, Sarah said. Unless you want any of it. I didn't. I wanted none of it. I wanted to pretend he never existed, easier that way. But she was already pulling books down, and I found myself helping. 1 box, 2, 3. Then she handed me the Hemingway collection. I almost didn't take it. My father had loved Hemingway. Read him constantly. I'd always hated Hemingway. Too sparse, too masculine, too silent, like my father. But Sarah was looking at me expectantly, so I took it. It was heavier than it should have been, something inside. I opened the book. The envelope slipped out. Michael, 20 years of questions in 3 pages of paper. I didn't open it that day. I couldn't. I put it in my bag, took it home, and hid it in my desk drawer. I told myself I'd read it when I was ready. Days passed, weeks, Every time I sat at my desk, I felt it there, waiting, this thing my father had left behind. This explanation I'd been wanting for 20 years, and I couldn't bring myself to read it. What if it didn't answer anything? What if it made things worse? What if it was just 3 pages of nothing, like all our conversations had been? Sarah found it accidentally. She was looking for stamps, opened my drawer, and there it was. "What is this?" she asked. I told her. She sat down, holding the envelope like it might explode. "Michael, you found this weeks ago and didn't tell me. I don't know if I can read it." "Why?" "Because I couldn't find the words. Because what if it doesn't help? What if I read it and I'm still just as angry, just as confused? At least right now I can tell myself that maybe it would give me answers. If I read it and it doesn't, then what?" She set the envelope on the desk between us. "Then at least you'll know. You can't live your whole life afraid of what might be on those pages. Can't I?" "No, you can't, because it's not just about you anymore. It's about Oliver and Emma. It's about us. You're so scared of becoming your father that you're becoming him anyway. Distant, closed off. Here, but not here. If there's any chance this letter helps you understand, helps you heal, you have to read it. What if I can't handle what's in there? Then we'll handle it together, but you have to try. You owe it to yourself, to Oliver, to your father. Even." I picked up the envelope. My hand was shaking again. 20 years of waiting. 20 years of anger and confusion and hurt. All of it folded into 3 pages. "Will you stay?" I asked. "Of course." I opened the envelope.
Michael, if you're reading this, then I did it. I'm sorry. I know that's not enough. I know sorry doesn't fix anything. But I need you to know I'm sorry. I'm sitting in my office writing this, and you're upstairs sleeping. You came home from college yesterday. You look different, older, like you grew up while you were gone, like you became someone I don't know. Except I never really knew you, did I? That's on me. Not you, all me. I've been trying to write this letter for weeks. Every time I start, I don't know what to say. How do you explain to your son why you're about to destroy his life? How do you make him understand when you barely understand yourself? I'll try. I'm broken, Michael. I don't mean sad. I don't mean having a bad day. I mean fundamentally, deeply broken. Something inside me doesn't work right. Never has. It's like there's a piece missing, and I've spent my whole life pretending it's there. Pretending I'm normal. Pretending I'm okay. I'm not okay. When I was young, my father used to tell me that men don't cry. Men don't complain. Men don't need help. You put your head down and you work and you provide and you don't burden others with your problems. I believed him. I thought that was what being a man meant. I was wrong. By the time I figured that out, it was too late. The mask was stuck. I couldn't take it off. I'd worn it so long, it had become my face. I look at you and I see everything I wish I could be. You're smart, you're kind. You feel things. You're not afraid to want things, to try things, to be yourself. I don't know how you became that. I don't think I had anything to do with it. That was all you, all your mother. I ruined her. Did you know that? She was so full of light when I met her, so alive, and I slowly drained it out of her year by year, trying to get her to fix me, trying to get her to fill the hole inside me. But she couldn't. No one can. It's not that kind of hole. I've thought about doing this for years. The first time was when you were 7. I had the pills, had them in my hand. But then you knocked on my office door, asked if I wanted to play catch. I said I was busy. You said okay and left. I sat there holding those pills, and I realized I was going to miss it. All of it. Every game of catch I said no to. Every conversation I shut down. Every moment I could have been your father and chose not to be. I put the pills away that day, told myself I'd try harder. I didn't try harder. That's the thing about depression, Michael. And yes, that's what this is. I can say the word now at the end when it doesn't matter anymore. Depression, it's not sadness. It's not weakness. It's a weight that gets heavier every day until you can't carry it anymore. Until even breathing feels like too much effort. I should have gotten help. I should have talked to someone. I should have told your mother. I should have told you. I didn't. That summer before you left, I tried. Remember that conversation we had in your room? I wanted to tell you everything. Wanted to explain. Wanted to say, son, I'm dying inside and I don't know how to stop it. But I couldn't. The words wouldn't come. So I said that thing about not being what other people expect. That was me trying. Trying to give you something. Trying to tell you, don't be like me. Don't trap yourself. Don't spend your life pretending. I don't know if you understood. I hope you did. There's so much I want to tell you. So many things I should have said. But this letter is already too long. And I don't have the words anyway. I never had the words. Here's what I need you to know. None of this is your fault. Not one bit. You didn't cause this. You couldn't have stopped it. This was inside me long before you were born. You are not me. You might look like me. You might have my mannerisms. But you are not me. You're better. You always were. Your mother loves you more than anything in the world. Take care of her. She's going to blame herself. She's going to think she should have seen it, should have stopped it. Don't let her carry that. Make her understand it wasn't her fault either. Leave, Michael. Really live, not the half-life I lived. Not the performance, the real thing. Feel everything. Say everything. Be everything. Don't wall yourself off like I did. Don't think you have to carry everything alone. Don't make my mistakes. If you have kids someday, be there for them. Not just physically. Really be there. Let them in. Let them know you. Break the cycle. Be the father I couldn't be. I love you. I know I never said it. I know I barely showed it, but I do. I always did. I just didn't know how to make you feel it. I'm sorry I'm leaving like this. I'm sorry for the pain I'm going to cause. I'm sorry I'm too much of a coward to keep fighting. I'm sorry for all of it, but I can't do this anymore. I'm so tired, Michael. I'm so tired. I hope you can forgive me someday. I hope you can understand. I hope you can live the life I couldn't. I hope you can be happy. I love you, son. Dad.
Dad, I don't know how long I sat there, holding those pages. Time felt meaningless. Sarah's hand was on my shoulder, steady, grounding me. I read it again, then again, the words blurring together. 20 years I'd been angry at him. 20 years I'd thought he left because he didn't care. Because I wasn't enough. Because nothing mattered to him, not even his own son. I was wrong. He cared so much it killed him. He loved me so much he couldn't bear to keep hurting me with his presence. He was so broken, he thought leaving was the kindest thing he could do. He was wrong too, but I understood now. Finally, after 2 decades. I understood. He wasn't distant because I didn't matter. He was distant because he was drowning. He wasn't silent because he had nothing to say. He was silent because the words were trapped behind walls of shame and fear and pain he couldn't break through. He was sick, not weak, not selfish, sick, and he died from it. Like someone dies from cancer or heart disease. His illness killed him. That should make me feel better, right? Understanding should help, should ease the anger, the confusion, the hurt. It didn't, not right away. Instead, it made it worse, because now I knew. He tried, in his broken way, to warn me. Don't waste time trying to be what other people expect. He tried to give me something, and I hadn't understood. And I'd spent 20 years becoming exactly what he feared I would become. Walled off, distant, performing instead of connecting. I looked at Sarah. She was crying, silent tears streaming down her face. I'm him, I said. I'm turning into him. No, you're not. I am, you said it yourself. I'm here, but I'm not really here. I'm going through the motions. I'm Michael. She cupped my face in her hands, made me look at her. You are not your father? Yes, you have walls. Yes, you struggle to let people in, but you're aware of it. You're fighting against it. He gave up. You're still trying. I don't know how to be different, then learn. Get help. Talk to someone. Actually deal with what happened to you instead of just carrying it. Break the cycle. That's what he wanted. That's what he was asking you to do. I looked down at the letter again. If you have kids someday, be there for them. Break the cycle. I'm scared. I whispered. Of what? What if I can't? What if I'm too damaged? What if I hurt Oliver and Emma the way he hurt me? Then you apologize, you explain, you keep trying. But Michael, you have to actually try. Really try, not just go through the motions. You have to let them in. Let me in. I don't know if I know how. Then we'll figure it out together. I started therapy the following week. I'd avoided it for years. Therapy was for people who couldn't handle their problems. Therapy was admitting weakness. Therapy was what my father needed and never got. I told Dr. Chen everything, about finding him, about the years of distance before, about my own struggles, about the letter. She listened without judgment, took notes, asked questions that made me uncomfortable. You've been carrying your father's pain along with your own, she said in our third session. You're grieving not just his death, but the relationship you never had. And you're terrified of repeating his patterns? Yes, but Michael, you're not him. You know what he didn't know. You have resources he didn't have. You have awareness. That's powerful. It doesn't feel powerful. It feels like I'm one bad day away from falling apart. Maybe. But falling apart isn't the same as giving up. Your father gave up. You're here. That's the difference. We talked about depression, about how it runs in families, how it's not weakness, how it's treatable. She asked if I'd ever experienced symptoms. I had. Of course I had. The emptiness, the exhaustion, the feeling that I was performing life instead of living it. I just never named it, never acknowledged it. There's no shame in medication if you need it, she said, or in asking for help. That's not weakness, that's courage. It took me 3 months to believe her. I read my father's letter to Oliver when he turned 10. Not the whole thing, the parts that mattered. The parts about breaking cycles, about being present, about not making my mistakes. Grandpa was sick, I told him, in his head, his heart. He didn't know how to ask for help, and it killed him. Oliver was quiet for a long time. Then, are you sick too, Dad? Honesty, that's what breaks cycles? Honesty and vulnerability and letting people in. Sometimes, I said, sometimes I struggle. Sometimes I feel empty and tired and like I'm not enough. But I'm learning to talk about it, to ask for help, to not let it win. Does it scare you? Every day? Me too? Sometimes I feel like that too. Empty. My heart stopped. You do. He nodded. Sometimes I feel like there's this hole inside me and I don't know why it's there. I pulled him close. This is it. This is the moment. This is where I break the cycle or continue it. Thank you for telling me, I said. That took courage. And I want you to know. You can always tell me things like that. Always. I will always listen. I will always help. You're not alone with this. Okay. You never have to be alone with this. He hugged me tight. Okay, Dad. It wasn't a solution. It wasn't a cure. But it was a start. It was connection. Real connection. It was what my father had wanted for me. What he'd been too broken to give. I was giving it to my son. The cycle was breaking. I think about my father every day, 20 years later, with his letter memorized. I still don't have all the answers. I still get angry sometimes, still feel cheated, still wonder what if. What if he'd gotten help? What if he'd talked to someone? What if he'd let us in, let us help carry the weight? Would he still be here? Would we have had the relationship I always wanted? Maybe, maybe not. Depression is complicated. Suicide is complicated. Healing is complicated. There are no easy answers, but here's what I know. My father loved me. In his broken, damaged way, he loved me. He was just too sick to show it in ways I could understand. His illness wasn't his fault, but it was his responsibility. And he failed that responsibility, not out of malice. Out of fear and shame and exhaustion, I can be angry about that and sad about it simultaneously. I can love him and be furious with him in the same breath. Human emotions aren't binary, they're messy. I'm not him. I have his eyes and his mannerisms and probably his brain chemistry. But I'm not him. I made different choices. I got help. I broke the walls down. It's hard. God, it's hard. Some days, I still want to retreat, to close off, to perform instead of feel. But I don't. I push through. I choose vulnerability over safety. I choose connection over comfort. For Oliver. For Emma. For Sarah. For myself. For my father, who wanted this for me but couldn't find his way there himself. Last month was the 20th anniversary of finding that letter. 20 years of knowing the truth. 20 years of healing. I went to his grave for the first time in a decade. Brought the letter with me. Read it out loud to him, there in the cemetery with the wind rustling through the trees. I understand now, I told him. I'm not angry anymore, or I'm less angry. I'm working on it. The wind picked up. I'm not spiritual enough to think it was a sign, but it felt like something, an acknowledgement, a release. I broke the cycle. Dad, Oliver talks to me, really talks, Emma too. They tell me when they're sad, when they're scared, when they feel empty. And I listen, I help. I'm there. I traced his name on the headstone. David Anderson, beloved husband and father. He was beloved, despite everything, he was. I hope you're at peace, I said. I hope wherever you are, the weight is gone. I hope you're finally able to breathe. I left the letter there, tucked under a rock. Maybe it would blow away. Maybe it would dissolve in the rain. Maybe it didn't matter. I'd carried it long enough. There's a line from Hemingway that my father loved. From The Old Man and the Sea, a man can be destroyed but not defeated. He was wrong about that. My father was both destroyed and defeated. The weight was too much. He couldn't carry it anymore, but I'm still here. Still carrying, still fighting. I'm not destroyed. I'm not defeated. I'm just awake. Finally, after 20 years of sleepwalking through life, I'm awake. I feel everything now. The pain? Yes, but also the joy. The connection, the love, all of it, unfiltered and raw and real. It's terrifying. It's exhausting. It's beautiful. It's life, the real thing. Not the performance. My father wanted this for me. He said so in his letter. Live, Michael, really live. So I am, for him. For my family, for myself, I'm living. Last week, Oliver asked me to play catch in the backyard. He's 14 now. Same age I was when my father couldn't find 5 minutes to care about my baseball news. Sure, I said immediately. Let me grab my glove. We threw the ball back and forth in the fading afternoon light. He talked about school, about his friends, about a girl he likes. I listened, really listened. Dad, he said after a while. Yeah, thanks for being here. For always being here. My throat tightened. Always, buddy, always, he smiled. Threw the ball, I caught it, and somewhere, I hope my father saw. I hope he knew. The cycle is broken. The weight doesn't have to win. Love finds a way, even when it's hard, even when it hurts. Even when it takes 20 years and a letter hidden in a book to finally understand. Love finds a way.